Hi and welcome to the channel. In this episode, work continues on the 1978 Corvette Pacecar as I endeavour to prepare it for being made legal here on New Zealand roads. I set myself a deadline, I'm wearing jandals, I'm good to go. Stay tuned and find out if I can make it. Okay, so I just wanted to do a short little video of what I've been working on the last couple of days. I'm still waiting for some parts to turn up for the centre console so I can put that back together. And you've probably noticed I've had the driver's seat out while I've been doing that work, just to give me more room to get in there and get underneath the dash. And so while I had the seat out, I thought I'd give that a bit of a tidy up because it had a little bit of paint off here and there. So I've used the same paint that I used on the steering column to paint the backs of the fiberglass shell. The shell is not in bad nick, it's got a few little chunks out of it here and there. You can see a few there. Anyway, I gave it a good degrease and scrub with a Scotch-Brite and gave that a coat of silver. It's not a terrible match. You can see it's probably a little bit silver to the vinyl, but it's pretty close. Later on down the track I'll probably try and do a bit of colour match, but right now I'm happy with that. So one thing I did do, or needed to do, was replace some of the hinge bolts. So I did go to the hardware store. I just bought some more, what do you call these? Little dome panhead screws. Just these ones here. They're very, very similar to what's used in the factory, except these are stainless. 1/4 by 3/4, and so they're a little bit shorter than the factory ones. The factory ones have a push-on dome nut on the outside here, where these are a screw-on dome nut that I got from the hardware store, so they could afford to be a little bit shorter. As mentioned, just these little chrome dome nuts just to hold the plastic trim on and ties them up. I also painted the plastic caps there. Again, those are not in great shape. They're you can see they're a little bit rough, so I will be replacing those some stage down the track, but these just tidy them up for now. Also, I've painted the seat mount brackets and slides. You can see there, look nice and silver again. And also this seat, when I got the car, I guess these cushions are not the original ones, they are aftermarket, and I think they probably had a hard time getting them on because this cushion for the top was still loose when I got the car, and they are very challenging to say the least to get clipped into the little brackets on the back. If you've done that job before, you'll know what I'm talking about. So I did get some help from my wife to help push these into place, and essentially it was just a case of tucking this side into the brackets and they lock in, and then working across the other side and push the other side and the two brackets on that side. Again, it's hard to explain if you haven't done the job, but they are a challenge. I made a little notched flat screwdriver. I just got my grinder out and cut a notch into the end of the blade, which then hook onto the wire inside the cushion, so then you can push it onto the clip. So I read about that on a couple forums, so I gave that a try, and it works. It's still a heck of a job, but it's on there, so I'm hoping it'll stay on there okay. And then I was looking at the edges of the shell. You can see there, quite a sharp edge on these, and they're quite prone to being chipped, I guess, because of that. And these are probably original. So what I've come up with, which I'm going to try and see if it lasts, is I've had a bit of this rubber profile here sitting on my shelf. I've used a bit on this car here, on the interior. So I had a little test fit of this onto the seat, and I'll just push that on now, if I can, while I'm holding the camera. That can just push onto the edge of that shell, and again it's a nice tight push fit, and you see that sits on there, and it really ties up the edge as well as protecting the edge. It actually makes it a little bit nicer to grab the seat, because when I was putting that cushion on yesterday, I found myself garking my arm on the edges of that element of that fiberglass shell, just through, you know, needing to grab things, and I think that will tidy up that edge very nicely. But what I'm also going to do is use the same silver paint that I've used on the shell and paint it. As you can see there, I've just done a little sample. And so again, if I keep on pushing that on down here, you can see what that does. Just really tidies up that edge. You can see, you know, from there to there what it does. But also it's rubber, you know, so it's nice and it's not hard to the touch, it's soft to the touch, and it just helps fill in that gap. It just, you know, there's no gap between the leather and the shell now. So I think that's what I'm going to do with these, just to tidying these up. I think it's going to look really sharp, as well as just protect it and make it nicer to grab when you flip the seat forward. So I've been out this morning and bought a bunch of that. So I'm going to cut that to length and then spray it and go ahead and put it on. Okay, so here's the rubber channel after I've just sprayed them. Got them hanging up here. I cut them about an inch over length so I could afford to cut off where I've stuck the hook through. So when I push them on, I'll just do a final trim to length at that stage. But anyway, here they are. I've just put a single good coat of silver on them. I don't want to put too much on there. The more paint you have, the more likely they are that's going to shrink and crack later on down the track. The main thing I want to do is just get some build up on the, you know, on the top edge, I guess, where it's going to get most of the wear. I've got a good layer on there, and so we'll just see how that goes, see how it wears. The beauty of this is if they wear, you just pull them off and spray them and put them back on again, so it's no biggie. I'm hoping I don't have to glue these on to keep them on. I'm hoping there'll be a nice push fit, but worst case I do have some vinyl glue for gluing these on if need be. As I mentioned, this particular profile is unequal length. I think I'm going to put the long side out to the outside of the shell. It just seems to lay in there better with this particular profile. The other way around, it just wanted to stick out sort of that way a bit much. This way it sort of lays flat a little bit this way, a little bit better. So that's the way I'm going to go. I'm just waiting for those pieces of painted just to dry, and then I'll go ahead and stick them on. I don't know, I have to see how this goes, but I think I'm going to end up gluing these on. As mentioned, I have some super weather strip adhesive here, which I've used before. So if need be, I'll just put a few dabs of that on in a few places just to hold it in place. But I'll leave it on dry for now, see how it wears, and you know, so it's not a high wear area. It is a fairly nice snug fit, but if it does want to peel off, then I'll glue it on at that stage. Okay, so here's my rubber trim now, nice and dry. Let's go ahead and fit it. And push it on. And then it's just a case of just rolling your hand around a little bit just to get it to sort of lay in a consistent manner. But as you can see, it really ties that edge up, as well as making it, you know, nice to grab. So a little bit over length here, as I said, for painting. I'll just have to cut that tail off. But that's it. You can see it does actually help just close the gap up here, gets a nice snug fit to your cushion. You can see I've got a little bit of a gap here on my seat. I think this cushion needs to push up a little bit. I might have a bit of a fight with that later on, see if I can get that to snug up. It's pretty good down here, and then obviously going down. So that's what it looks like. I don't know, it's an easy thing to do, and I think it just helps tidy that edge up, so you might want to have a go at yourself. The beauty of this, of course, is that you can paint it to match your interior, or you can leave it black as it comes if you've got a black interior. But I think that these fiberglass shells really need some sort of treatment here. I'm hoping someone doesn't tell me that they actually do make something for this, because I didn't even look that up, but this is what I've found to use to do the job. So anyway, a nice modification, I think, just helps finish off the seats just a little bit better. And I'll do the bottom ones now. Goes wide side out. There we have it. Now let's get my razor blade and trim off these tails here, and it's good to go. So just take you in for a closer look around the bottom here. There's the new rubber trim. Goes around and follows around and goes up, of course. So there is the job done, and I think it's a good job done. It should certainly make it just a little bit nicer just to get in and out of, and also to the touch. So I've got ahead and cut the two other lengths for the other seat, and I've got those hanging up outside there. Just in case you're wondering, I did clean those bits of rubber up with some wax and grease remover. Literally washed them down and let them dry out, and then obviously painted them around the side of the shed, not where they're hanging right there right now, for overspray reasons. So they're done out there drying, and then I'll put those on the other seat at a later date. I'm going to be putting that seat out soon as well, and just going through it, making sure it's as good as it can be. So with that job done, the other thing I wanted to do to these seats is deal with this. As you can see, badly sun damaged carpet to the back of this seat, and it's shrunk away in the corners, and it's just looking at its age. And I'm sure at some stage down the track I'm going to wind up replacing this, but being that I've got to get everything sent from out of the US, I'll probably do a whole carpet kit at some stage down the track, and I'll worry about it then. But for now, I'm just going to do a little bit of experimenting with colouring this up to see if I can get it looking grey again. Now I've been out today and bought some of this fabric dye, and it's for synthetic fibre, because I believe we're dealing with acrylic here, what I've read or understand that this is made in. So I've never done any dye work before, but I'm hoping I can do this successfully. And if I can do this successfully, then I may do some of the interior carpets as well, just because they're looking a little bit faded in places as well. And I've also got some floor mats that are looking like this sort of colour as well. So I know this is a little bit of an experiment. Again, I'm not too concerned about hurting this because it's easy to replace if need be. But again, for now, if I can get this to colour up and look more of a colour it's supposed to, then they'll be fine for now. So I'm going to have a wee play with this, and I'll take you through what I do and see how we go. Okay, well, here we go. I've got a mix of dye, some really warm water, a little bit of dish soap in it, apparently is what you need to help it mix. It's very hot. Apparently you're supposed to do this in boiling water if you're doing fabric, of course, but this is how I'm going to do this. I'm hoping this pump lasts with this sort of hot water in it. And I'm just going to spray this on. It's either going to work or it's going to be a total fail, so see how we go. Oh, it is hot. Try and get it right into the fibres, I guess. Almost feel like I should have bleached it before I dyed it, because I just don't know if this dye is going to override that brown colour you can see there. Like I say, it's a total experiment, so it'll either work or it won't. Now it says you're supposed to wash it out after you're done. I'm sort of more than minded to let it soak and sit and dry, because that's all I'm going to be doing. If I do the carpets inside the car, obviously I'm not going to be washing out the carpet in the car. I'm just going to be able to spray it on and leave it. And the reason I'm using this sprayer is just try and get a consistent finish. So as you can see, it's looking a lot grayer than what it was, which is good, but I'm not sure if it's permanent or not, because it's just the the wetness of it making it look that colour. Because this stuff up here at the top, as you can see, is quite a bit lighter. In theory, should be getting grayer. If this is actually working. I didn't pre-soak the carpet at all. Might have been advisable, but that's why I'm going ahead and just soaking it now with this instead. Just trying to get that colour into the fibres. And I think I'm literally going to just let it dry out in the sun rather than wash it off. The more colour I can get into it, the better. At some stage I'm going to see this probably water running out the bottom of this down here. At that stage I'll probably fold the seat up to its upright position and let the water drain off. So if I look at it, that's actually brown water coming out of it. I did wash the backs of these seats, and I'm wondering how much of that brown stain we were seeing was actually just dirt. I'm going to tip this up now and let that drain out. I don't want much of that dirt, if that's what it is, drain out. So I'm just going to go ahead and keep on spraying this, and it's going to do two things. It's going to hopefully add colour. It should do, and it's going to also wash out any more dirt that might be still in here. It could be it's just the hot water making a difference and getting out all that dirt. So I did clean this carpet pretty well, I thought, but not as well as I thought, I guess. I'm surprised this pump has lasted, this little cheap spray bottle with this hot water in it. I thought it would have given out, but It's hanging in there. I'm going to just use up all this product. There's about 600 mils in this, so I might just get a catch tray for it. I know, I feel like I need to add more dye to the mix. If I do this again, it just doesn't seem to be adding a lot of colour. I would have thought with the dye and the wetness of the fabric it would be looking darker and then dry lighter. But this is so far it's looking a bit too light, but we'll give it a chance to dry. Okay, well I'm just about out of mix here, so I think I'm just going to call that done. Let it finish dripping and then take it out in the sun, let it dry. Be interested to see how that dries. It looks quite nice and uniform here, doesn't it? But I won't be convinced until I see it dry. Okay, so here we have the carpet that I dyed on the back of the seat, and it's fairly well dry now, and so it is looking more consistent in colour. Definitely, you know, up here where it's quite pale, it's you know, blended right through now. And obviously the brown has gone through the bottom half, and again I don't know how much of that is from dirt rinsing out and how much is from the dye, but it's probably a little bit of both. But I'm going to call that a win at this stage. I'm pretty happy with that result. It's definitely looking better, and probably won't know for sure the difference until I put it next to the other seat just for a comparison, but at this stage I'm happy with that. It looks far nicer. So with that little experiment done, I may get adventurous and do some of the interior carpet as well, just to get it more grey. It's sort of gone to a bluish colour, so maybe I can give it the same treatment where I just spray it on and leave it to dry off and see how it comes up. Righto, anyway, that's good. I'm happy with that. Cicadas. Alright, we'll give this a try. Cicadas are out making lots of racket, but I've tried out this new mic, wireless mic, so we'll see if you can hear me. If not, then this is going to be a silent video with music. So this glue's been drying on here for an hour or so in the sun. I'm just going to trim these tails off now. Something like that. See if this is going to stay on. So what I've done differently with this seat, which is probably what I should have done with the first one, the driver's seat that I've already done, is I painted these rubber strips, mouldings, before putting them on the seat, and that was some weeks ago. And of course this is a hard shell paint, and so as soon as you try and fix them, the paint just wants to crack and come off quite easily. So this is why I'm gluing them on now, and then I'm going to paint these, and that way the paint will stay on. The paint stays on pretty well as long as you don't flex it too much. So this should be fine to paint now, and apart from normal wear and tear, you know, if you rub on it too much it might wear off, but for the most part it should stay on. Doesn't really matter if I get any paint on these black hinges because they get covered by plastic trim, but I don't know. I don't know, job done. So again, what this just does is just cleans up this raw edge of this fiberglass shell, makes it a softer edge, and just finishes it off quite nicely, I think. I've got to do the back part as well, but again I'm going to wait now. I think putting the cushion in the top half of the shell is a nightmare, and I risk just damaging the edging trying to put the cushion in, so I'll probably put the cushion in first and then put the cushion in first before I put the trim on. But I can put this on here now. Cicadas is just so noisy this time of year. It makes filming out here pretty difficult. Can I show you what I'm doing without this going haywire? There we go. Probably putting a lot tighter something on these probably, but put enough munch on them, I think they'll be fine. There we go. It's looking good. So just got the plastic covers to paint and put on, and then I can fit the cushions. Put this last piece of rubber trim around here to match this one, and that's that seat done. Okay, well that's the seats done and ready to go back in the car. I'm really pleased with how they've come out. I think they're going to really just improve the whole look of the interior. So on the next episode we're going to change tact here a little bit, and we're going to get our hands dirty in the engine bay. I've had enough interior work for a little while, so we're going to get dirty and greasy and make some improvements there, so be sure to check out the next episode.